That clock's always a little behind.
Or whatever, or whatever.
All right. It's 5 o'clock. Time to start the meeting. Commissioner Stewart, leads the invocation and the pledge.
Please stand and join us. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to come and serve the citizens of our county. Lord, we just want to take an opportunity now to take time and ask that, Lord, you just bless those family members of the family that was so tragically taken over in Liberty County, God, that you just bless them, be with them, comfort them. Lord, I just ask that you bless us here tonight to give us wisdom as we do the business of the county. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we'll have probably a fairly short meeting, but yeah, citizens have an opportunity to speak, or citizens to be heard, or on any item on the agenda. If you'd like to speak, fill out a speaker card with Miss Patty, and you get 3 minutes to say what you want. And approval of the agenda.
Move approval.
I would like to pull item number 3 off the agenda. Off the consent.
We also have an add-on presentation from Todd Mitchell with Waste Pro.
Second with the changes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we start with citizens to be heard. We have any citizens? And so we move to awards and presentations. First one is from Kim Feinberg, Refuge House.
Thank you for pronouncing my last name right. Not too many people do it. I am the sexual violence case manager for Refuge House. I'm relatively new. I've been in Wakulla for about a year. Took over from Sabrina Williams, who took over from Kathy Asbell, so you all probably know one of those two. The reason for coming today is just to invite you all to the Sexual Assault Awareness Month event that I'll be having at TCC Wakulla on Wednesday, April 17th, and I have a invite here. I don't know, can I just come up and give it to you?
Sure.
All right.
Don't stumble over this thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a luncheon. I'm in contact with Zaxby's, hoping that they'll cater it for me. It's just going to be short, sweet, you know, just letting you all know that we're here and just trying to raise awareness for the members of our community who are dealing with this kind of trauma. That was it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice and sweet. I just like
Kim.
to the point. Yes.
Is the TCC is at Centennial Bank? The
Yes.
back side of, okay.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
TCC Wakulla, and we are going to be in room 103.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Todd Mitchell.
Just wanted to come in and say hello. I've got a new supervisor with me today. I also have the head of my operations, Efford Major, of course, and then our new commercial supervisor, Dickie Garrett from our Tallahassee office, but he manages all of the commercial front load containers and the roll-off containers. So I wanted to introduce him so he knew who you were, and I wanted him to make sure he gave you out one of his cards, so if you do have any issues there, we can do that as well.
Thank you.
He's been on a truck for quite a while.
Thank you.
Understands the front load and roll-off business. Also wanted to come up, wanted to go over the last 3 months of so that you knew we had improvement. I know that last time I was here, we had one of the little small trucks that we were having troubles with. We did buy another one. We found a little one. It's a little different than the other two, but it's a nice little truck that fits into the canopy tree areas and is single axle. It has mechanical brakes versus the air brakes, so it's non-CDL driven. So we did take that, although we lost one in an accident with the rock truck. the other day.
That doesn't sound good.
No, that was not good. Luckily, the driver was out picking up the recycling container when 2 rock trucks were coming down the road at the same time, and they couldn't quite get by. And they tagged that little truck and totaled it out. So we have the other one that I think he brought back today. So we did have the second truck, a third truck, which we were planning on having, but we had the second truck with a brand new motor put in it, and so it's back in Wakulla today. Calvert would have loved to have been here, but his brother's very ill, so he couldn't make it. But Calvert brought that truck back today. Also, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was because we had been having a little bit of an issue with service, and I wanted to go over kind of what we had done. January, we had a total of 48 issues on a service of 58,455 for the month. So that ends up being less than a 0.08% in total for that month. We also had in February, we had 43, which was 0.0007. And then so far in March, we're averaging right around 26, which has been dropped down to 0.0004. So we're making strides and making sure that we're trying to stay on top of this stuff and service it as best as we can. And we're always going to have a little bit of issue from time to time, but we have a lot of folks that live here, take care of it. Calvert's typically really good about taking care of any issues, and is myself as well, since I live here.
I've seen it. Your guys driving, are y'all subbing out trucks or renting
No.
trucks from somebody?
No, what we
They
did,
have a different logo on the side.
that was a company that we purchased.
Okay.
So we purchased that company wholly, but it's changed out already.
Okay.
So we were just waiting for the graphics to get in, but that's still one of our companies. But that's where we got the truck from, is when we bought that company, they had 2 of those little trucks, and it just ended up being perfect timing for us. So we brought that down here. It's changed, and everybody will see that it's changed. But we've been involved lately in a lot of events. We've been real heavy with the schools lately, in different cheerleading events and whatever they've asked. We've been donating. We did the Ducks Unlimited. We've done the Low Country Boil. We've done the coastal cleanups, and have been real heavy in those. So wanted you all to know that we're very active in the community as well. And I didn't know if there was any questions of me.
Todd, I'm just going to be up front with you. I haven't been satisfied at all with
Okay.
customer service. I hear you say there's only been 43, but 4 is too many for me. I understand that there's a big company and there's a lot of moving parts to garbage pickup, and I appreciate that. I really do. I know there's a lot of mechanical issues, and I've worked in that kind of
Sure.
stuff before, and not garbage pickup necessarily. But and maybe I'm the only commissioner that gets called. I don't know, but I certainly get called a whole lot, and it's frustrating when I say I'll take care of it. I'm almost always calling Nanette, and she's very quick to respond and call you folks, and usually it gets taken care of. But it's usually the biggest issue I see, and it's countywide, is picking up recycling. That seems to be, and I thought that was you guys' moneymaker, was the recycling. I thought that's why we,
Obviously not.
well, if it's not working, folks have gotten so frustrated. Let me finish, Todd.
Yep.
Let me finish. Is they've become so frustrated with putting out recycling because they're trying to be good stewards of the environment, is now they're saying they're just putting it in the garbage because it's too much trouble, because it sits there and it doesn't get picked up. And then when I make a call to the manager that I thought was, I didn't realize there was 2 managers. It was you for the front load pickup. Now I know you got a new man now, but when I called the local guy at Calvert, and the response I get is, I don't know why it got picked up, or why it didn't get picked up. Well, that's not, to me, that's not an adequate answer. The right answer is, I'll take care of it, or tell me why it didn't get picked up, because that wasn't the only place it didn't get picked up. There were several commercial sites that didn't get picked up on Friday. So I'm frustrated. Maybe I'm the only one up here that is. And it, you know, we had this discussion last time you were here, and I know Randy spoke up and said something about hopefully we can do better.
Well, we are. What you see in the recycling was that little truck. And we did have that taken care of until we lost the other one in an accident. So
Okay.
we're back to even again on it. And that can be an issue. But you're talking 50 calls a month. That's less than, 2 a day.
But one's too many to me.
Well, we're not perfect, Mike. There's never going to be a time and that we're ever going to be exactly what you think we should be is perfect. We're not. It is the trash business, and we're picking it up every day, and we will do our best. And I'm
Sure, but-
standing here to tell you that we're going to do a better job of it as long as we continue to have our trucks up.
You guys are a big organization. You're not a fly-by-night.
No, you're exactly right.
Okay, so I mean, you're a corporate business that operates in many counties in this state.
Correct.
So the expectation is that if you're supposed to have, in the contract, is have a standby truck, you're going to have a standby truck, which means if one breaks or one gets in an accident, you're going to bring a truck from somewhere else to fill that. And that's the expectation that we have of your organization, is that you're going to fulfill
And we
the
did.
contract. So in my opinion, I think you can do better. I've spoken to your boss, and he has assured me that we were going to try to do better, and I'm fine with trying to do better. I'd like if it's, but when I get calls over, I mean, it's every week, almost, well, I won't say every day, but it's at least once or twice a week now. It's a customer, a citizen calling, and they're frustrated. It's not because it just happened one time to them, it's because it's happened repeatedly to them. So we
Yeah,
just got to do
and
better.
Annette can tell you that the number of misses and issues have gone down significantly.
And I hope so.
But at the same time, I'm not standing up here and telling you that they're ever going to go away, Mike. They're not. We'll always have issues. Not every one of these are legitimate, but we go out and we look at it. Now, talking about Calvert, I did understand your situation with Calvert. Now, Calvert isn't over the commercial, but he should have simply just told you, okay, I'll get it taken care of. Now, I've asked, I'm over all of the waste pro for this whole area, not just Wakulla, but for everything. So the supervisor that we had for the commercial, which Dickie's on doing it now, left the company, and so it took us a little bit to get someone to do that. Now, Calvert does not manage any of that.
So for commercial, I need to call Dickie.
Yeah, but if you ever have any issues, any of you, since I live here, I want to know, and I'll go take care of it.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal since I live here.
Make sure Nanette is made aware of these, because she's the one that keeps the record, right? And we do have a clause in there if some issue's not corrected within a certain amount of time.
Sure.
Within 24 hours.
They can be fined,
But-
but the only way to do that is to go through Nanette.
And I've done that exclusively, Randy. The problem is I don't know if they fix it in 24 hours. You don't know if they fix it. So I'm not going to go and sit at their house, whoever called. I shouldn't have to do that.
No, not at all.
And we got to trust that you got. I can remember when we did this. Okay, this wasn't an easy thing to get done in this
Push through.
county. Was pushing garbage on mandatory garbage pickup. People finally, after it was done, they bought into it and said, hey, it wasn't such a bad idea after all. And I think it's a good thing. I think we need to stay with mandatory pickup. I'm just asking that we try to improve our service any way we can to make it better for the citizens. 'Cause
And
they're
we will.
paying. In the end, they pay every year on their taxes to pay.
When we started this, recycling was a value. It really throws nothing into this whole conversation, but I wanted you to understand the value of recycling, and I'm going into a meeting with Marpan next week, but they're now getting ready to start charging us for the cost of the disposal of recycling. So recycling has zero value right now. Actually, the cost is almost as much as it is to dispose a ton of recycling as it is to dispose of a ton of trash. So regardless to that point, we still have to pick up the recycling and do it on a timely and a good basis, and that's what our mission is. We're here to serve this community.
And I know it's a tough business. I do understand that. I understand there's lots of mechanical breakdown, and believe me, I do understand. So, and people, you got to,
Yeah.
It's all about having enough people on and CDL drivers, and I understand all that. But at the end of the day, we contracted to get a service. The citizen doesn't understand all that necessarily.
Correct.
He calls, he's irate, he or she, they're irate because their
It's not
garbage
done.
didn't get picked up and it's been sitting out there for 2 days, then something's wrong. And so we got to do a better job.
We will. We will, and we do go back and service it. We make sure that we go back. It's not
Yeah.
sitting there for, for a week upon another week or anything.
understand.
We do go back and get it even when we have those breakdowns. But so we typically only have one small truck, and we had a spare. But to lose both of them at the same time was the difficult part, and I needed to have a third one. Well, contractually, I wasn't supposed to have a third one, but I went out and bought a third one
Okay.
so that we do have one above the other one.
Okay.
So, just on average, what is the error rate for most of your other communities? How many times do you miss? 43 in January here?
Well, I don't necessarily have that with me to look at, but it's a little bit higher than what we are here. I mean, you got to remember, there's a lot of things that can happen, whether it's blocked, whether it's not out, whatever the case is, but it doesn't really matter. It gets put back that it was a miss, regardless of what the issue was. So Leon County, City of Tallahassee, they're considerably higher in misses than what we are here. Liberty County is maybe a little bit less. Gadsden County is probably a little bit higher. Wouldn't you say Gadsden is probably a little bit higher? Yeah.
So my biggest issue is that it seems to be the same people that.
Well, that's what we need to address.
Okay.
That's why I said if it is the same people, I will address it and make sure it's not. But you're going to have different people from time to time, regardless of what the situation is, and I can't control that. But I can control is where you see one that's been missed this time and the next time, and that's just something that Calvert and his staff will put in place to make sure that we have a hot sheet that says this is the areas that we need to make sure of going forward that are being picked up on a frequent basis, and they check it. And it's not just the route sheet that the driver has. It's also something that the management is a tool for them to use to make sure that we're following up behind that so that we have those. So I need to know those from, if we have those areas that are being missed. And I can honestly tell you that twice in a row, a lady that lived down a small dirt road, I went to the end of the road and picked it up, everything that I could see that was out, and there was one recycling container out. I did not realize that you had to drive down this little road to go back there. It said private, and so I didn't drive back there. And sure enough, when I called her, she said, "You've done it twice." And I said, "Yes, and that's me." I said, "I did not go back onto your private drive. I didn't realize it." And she said, "Well, they always have." So, for that account, yeah, that was something that we didn't go back and pick up on that private drive. Now we are.
Okay, well, that's what, same people calling me, that's what I get concerned about.
Yep. Understood.
I have one quick question for you without
Sure.
you going into, we're not going to be here long. What is can you give me the recycling procedure now? I've heard you say something about is the Marpan
Marpan, yes.
are not accepting our recycling?
No,
anymore?
they accept our recycling. That just that we're getting ready to have a meeting with Marpan, and we expect that we know from what the other counties in the city of Tallahassee that they're going to go up on their fees. It used to be a break even, and so nobody used to get paid for it, and now it's going to end up costing.
So our recycling is not going to somewhere off in Georgia to a landfill? That's not the truth?
It goes to Marpan.
It goes to Marpan?
Mhm.
Okay.
Is that Larry Lasser you're going to be meeting with?
Kim.
One last comment, and I don't mean this bad. It's just please understand that they don't care what's on the side of that truck. They pay their taxes to the county to pick up that garbage.
Sure.
And their recycling, and they're not upset with Waste Pro. They're upset with the county
Yeah,
commissioner
I understand it.
because their garbage didn't get picked up because we're taxing them for that service. So, we're just asking you to do a better job so that we don't get that wrath on the other
Understood.
phone. That's my job. I'm used to it.
And I don't mind taking that wrath, Mike. I just need to know, and I'd like to know if you have someone in any of your districts that's having that issue, please give me, I've given you my card, please give me the courtesy to take it so I can go direct it myself, and I will.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Garrett, I'll be calling you. All right.
Thank you all.
All right.
Move consent?
Have a second? Okay. we have all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Okay. That brings us to the Dan Miller Road right-of-way acquisition. Now, I pulled this off the consent because I can't understand why we're doing it. Basically, you know, we have a lot of roads in the county that we don't have right-of-way for, and we can't afford to buy all that right-of-way. And most roads that want to get their road paved, they donate the right-of-way. Now, this is not going to give us any better, it's not going to enhance our transportation system, it's not going to do anything for the county as overall, so why are we paying for right-of-way on Dan Miller Road? I couldn't justify it.
Here's why. Because several years ago, our former superintendent of schools, Mr. Miller, donated, was it 50 or 60 feet, Mike? From 319 all the way back, you know, I'd say 70% of the road. They donated the right-of-way. This is to get the one little section where the people would not give the right-of-way. So it's not for the entire road.
I know, it's for two sections, St. Joe Land.
What's the
and
total, like
Strickland.
6,000?
It's about $8,000-9,000.
It's 8,000.
Most of it was donated, Chuck, but there was two primary sections we couldn't get, the Port St. Joe land, and we couldn't get it from Mr. Strickland. It was a tiny sliver we had to, so...
It is on the list to be paved.
It's 34 on the list.
I know, but it's
real way down the list on to be paved. It's not a connector. There's like 7 people on 7 parcels on Buck Miller Road.
I'm not
There's 6 parcels on Dan Miller Road. You know, you're talking about 13 people, and we're going to spend a lot of money.
I thought there were a few feeder roads off the side of it. Aren't there
Not
some rentals
significant.
back here?
There's a bunch of rentals back there, but they all belong to the same person,
Yeah, but they all access off Dan Miller Road, right?
Buck Miller Road.
Buck Miller.
So, but it's you know, it's really enhancing the value of that property. It's going to be very expensive to the community, and I'm curious as to why we're paying for this right of way. If we're going to pay for, you know, I can understand why they would want us to have the right of way so this happens, but I can't understand why we're paying for it.
Well, again, my understanding is, so we could go ahead and, well, actually in the agreement it says not to touch the people's property until it's widened. I know y'all don't
That's correct.
know about this. But so the road was not scheduled to be paved, but we're all gonna be paved eventually, but I think at this point it's just to improve the drainage and stuff like that, right?
Yes, and typically anytime we can get anybody to agree to either donate or sell us or for a reasonable price right away, we jump on it.
And I used to be the same mentality you have right now, and Mike, I think you had too, that unless you give the right of way, we're not doing anything. And that really, over the years, hadn't
Came back.
gotten us very far. That's why Lonnie Raker has a dangerous bad jog in it.
Well, see, Lonnie Rakers is important for transportation for the county, so I can understand buying right-of-way there, and that is important, okay? And the Cager Posey thing, the Wooden Lake realignment, those are important for transportation for the county. I understand buying right-of-way there. That enhances transportation in the county. I just don't see that for the Buck Miller Road system.
Well, I don't necessarily have grief with it, because given the amount of money it's costing, $10,000-12,000, I think, for whatever it was, the total. I read the agenda, but I didn't add it up in my head. To me, it's worth it.
8,000 something, I thought.
Okay, 8,000 something. Considering, again, 70 to 80% of the right-of-way for the entire length of the road was donated by one person.
If we were here buying up the whole road, I'd say
I think I would
be
agree
on board with you, but I don't see a problem with this small investment in that long road that's going to have to get paved. It's going to be paved sooner or later, and it could be a good cut-through road. I mean, you could look at it several ways, Chuck.
Well, I don't think you ever want to have it to be a cut-through road, because it would take for 2,000 feet shorter, you would be putting fast-moving cars through a residential area. That doesn't seem like a good idea to me. It's only, I mean, it's
Well, what it boils
it's
down...
9,000 feet if you go through on 319. It's 7,000 feet if you Buckmiller Road to get to the same point to point. So it's not.
Well, what it boils down to is there's some certain property owners that didn't want the county to improve the road for drainage or to, I don't know if 2 cars can pass right there where that fence is at.
Right.
It's a fence up close to the road, so it's either do this or do nothing and leave it the way it is. So I don't have heartburn with it.
I do. So
Okay, no problem.
so
Motion to approve.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 3-1. All right. Next thing is number general business, no public hearing, planning and zoning, county attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. One county attorney item today, we are requesting that the board go ahead and schedule and advertise a closed executive session, a shade meeting for the purpose of discussing some pending litigation, specifically...
Shady meeting?
Shade meeting.
In the shade.
Shade, yeah, versus sunshine, correct.
Oh.
So this meeting would be for the purpose of discussing some pending litigation, specifically Jerry Johnson v. Wakulla County, case number 418 CV.
Schedule it when?
Would be scheduled for April 1st, 2019 at 2:30. We're anticipating it'll take about 1 hour.
On what day?
April 1st.
And is that a board meeting date?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be before the regular meeting, so you'd first meet an open session. The county attorney requests that we move to a closed session. You do that, meet for about an hour or so, do the closed discussions.
So we don't have to sit around and fiddle on the phone for an hour and a half. Could we schedule it a little later?
Budget workshop at
There
3:30.
you go. Enough.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Passes 4-0. County administrator,
Nothing.
your opportunity.
I don't know.
Citizens to be heard? Nope. Commissioner discussion items?
Can I start?
Yes.
You always want to leave me out, so I'll start.
Let you start
Motion to
tonight.
adjourn.
One thing I spoke to David and some of the staff today about it, and David and I talked about before, is the sewer system that we acquired from the city of Sopchoppy. That when they first went through, they got a grant to do all that, and they put their people on, sort of, it was a mandatory hook on, and those folks ended up with grinder pumps. Well,
Not everybody, right? Some.
well, some, but many who have it can't afford the maintenance on them. I mean, we're talking at least $2,000 a pop every time they go out, and they go out. They don't usually last but 3-4 years if you're getting the best out of them. So I just wanted to share that with you guys and ask that we get staff to bring back an item for us to talk about. David's got some ideas about how we may put a small fee on those people who have grinder pumps to pay for maintenance over time, and they wouldn't be responsible if they fail. We just go in and change the pump. So come up with some scenarios that would help alleviate the cost for those people who are on those grinder pumps.
For the ones inside Crawfordville also?
No, I mean, it could be.
We got them in Oyster Bay. We've got them in Panacea.
I think we ought to look at the whole system.
Grinder pumps?
Yes, grinder
But
pumps.
we don't, remember when we closed that can of worms several years ago, we was maintaining everybody's grinder pump. And then the board adopted a resolution saying that they will not maintain, so we'd need to change that too.
Well,
That we will not maintain
I don't know that we want to do it. I want us to talk about it and see if it's, if it's feasible.
I don't mind if we do some sort of purchase where they can get the parts cheaper or whatever. Personally, I don't want to get in the grinder pump business because I don't know how many times our guys had to go out here at 10, 11 o'clock at night and somebody calls and says, my grinder pump's not working, you need to come out here and fix it. And it's happening at Old Colony Bay. And
Here's the issue to me, is that we've required people to get off of working septic systems, which we're trying to, to find ways to do that. But if they fail, There's folks out there who can't afford $3,000. That's like $3 million to them.
Well,
So-
let me correct something. We don't require them. The state statute specifically says that if you have a low-pressure sewer,
I
you
understand.
have to hook onto it.
I understand.
It's not like the garbage service where we actually did that as a county.
But we didn't put gravity sewer, we put,
No, it says it, low pressure. If you have gravity sewer or low pressure, you must hook onto it.
I understand that, Randy, but we could have, well, we didn't then.
Soft
Soft
choppy.
choppy could have,
Soft chopping,
But-
Soft chopping made that decision.
but we're stuck with it now.
And I understand why they did it, because there may have been remote areas where you couldn't get enough fall on the line.
It was the cheapest way to put, you got the most miles for the buck.
Correct.
I understand that. Now the problem lies with, what do you do with these failing pumps? All I'm saying is, let's look at some ways. If it's not feasible, then maybe we don't do anything, and
Strongly encourage you to talk to Zoe over in St. Mark's. I think they have a lot of those grinder pumps in St. Mark's too, and I think they were doing it one way and started doing it another. I'm not really sure where they're at on it right now, but
Changed their policy over there too, because St. Mark's was doing,
they were maintaining them,
Maintaining.
and I think they just stopped, right? Is that correct?
gave it back to the
Citizens. It's a nightmare.
Or maybe we don't do anything.
To me personally, I mean, I understand, I feel bad, but when we were looking at doing low pressure in the county, it was explained to me that, think of it as an appliance. That's basically what it is. It's like a refrigerator or a AC unit or something like that. If it goes out, that's part of your house that you need for it to function. I understand it's not cheap, but now also, can they pick what kind of pump to put back in there? If they're the one paying for it, can they pick the pump? Because some pumps are a lot cheaper than other ones. If they're required to put an E1 pump,
Right
for
now, they
example.
can,
Okay.
I assume. I would think so, but
But if we did go down that route, and I don't support it, but I will talk about it, then we probably gonna have to require them to have a much higher quality pump if we're gonna be in charge of maintaining it.
isn't there also the incentive to take care of your grinder pump and not put
Things you
strange
shouldn't put down there.
objects?
And then we
in
get
the
into, well, what if they don't pay their sewer bill? Does that mean we don't respond to them when they call and say their grinder pump doesn't work? So it's complicated.
I understand.
That's a can of worms. All right?
Well, I'd like for us to agree at least to get David to
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
some ways to do it. If it's not feasible, tell us
That's
it's not
fine.
feasible. And if it is, maybe we add a little fee, I don't know.
Certainly don't mind talking about it.
Okay.
But you remember, there was a big push, too, to do this for septic tanks, too,
I know.
which I didn't think was a good idea either.
Okay.
It has-
Is that
it has
good
a-
enough, Justin?
It has a value.
I knew that would get Chuck going.
So, we're gonna bring it back, have David come bring us back a proposal and see what it would cost?
Yeah.
Okay,
Fine.
all in favor?
We don't need a vote on
Just need
it,
a head
just
nod.
head nod.
Head nod, it takes five, it
Everybody
takes everybody to support it.
Head nod.
4 nods.
Okay, 4 nods.
That's all I have, thank you.
Commissioner Messerschmidt?
I have nothing.
You have nothing?
Recent issue came up about FH13. I have a meeting, the Senator Rubio's and Senator Rick Scott, want to meet us at the Appalachian Regional Planning Council. I'm going to be in their ear about FH13, repaving the part from the bridge to 375, right in it. It was pavement, now it's dirt, because they wouldn't maintain it. And we couldn't get the Forest Service to do nothing with it for years. They never touched it. I think it's paved in the 80s, they hadn't touched it since. So I'm going to try to bend somebody's ear and see if they'll get somebody in there to do something with it.
Good.
Forest Service is unbelievable.
Do you need the board to
Nah.
draft a letter of support, or?
If it gets to that point, I'll ask for it.
Yeah, you should respond, they should respond just to you, then they can do it fairly easily.
Yeah.
So,
Motion to adjourn.
all right, we're adjourned.
Ruben.
All right, thank you.